What's up, people? Here it is. Guess what we're talking today? Banned book. This book, to be precise, YouTube's Finest Hour by George Webb. Of course, a play on Britain's greatest hour. This man, Winston Churchill. And this is a trend we've been seeing for a while now with the censorship from the big tech and the tech left in particular, where they are censoring certain information from getting out there. It's now transferred over the past 12 months or so, but even longer. It really depends on the nature of the political climate at the time. But we're really seeing a transformation into a digital burning of the vanities, as I call it. And this book was banned by Amazon. This is a book by George Webb. He's an investigative reporter, investigative journalist who found Hillary Clinton's encrypted illegal State Department Blackberries. Follow the intrepid Potomac group as they fight coronavirus quarantine and separation from their families to provide a rare insight into how the pandemic started in China. You will get the answer to pandemic or plandemic. Now, this is a great book. It's pretty short. Let me see, 26 pages long. And the task force book, again, was 25. So short reads here, people. But again, limited edition, scarcity principle, banned book. But I got notes here, and it's nice because there's pictures to go along with the books that support the information that he's talking about. Now, very condensed writing here, lots of info in short paragraphs. So there is some term defining that may need to be done depending on one's background knowledge into what he's talking about here. And looks like some notes are taken there as well. But he goes over Kennedy and 9/11 and talks about how they're polemic events that shook the world. And he goes on to ask this question, which is something that I've discussed with many people who have appeared on my channel. What new agency will result from Corona? So we got the Department of Homeland Security post 9/11, DHS department. Now we're seeing them kidnap people in unmarked vans, unmarked uniforms. Today, this is going on right now. So the question, what new agency will result from Corona? Show some pre-science there from looking back into the past with 9/11. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world behind Google. And of course, Google owns YouTube. And we are 1 day and 1 year past the anniversary of Event 201 in New York City, as well as the first day of the NATO military games in, you guessed it, Wuhan, China. And cui bono, who benefits, is the question that George Webb likes to ask a lot. Who would benefit most? And he says UN, United Nations, NATO, and the Gates Foundation is who he believes would benefit most from a virus being released as it has. Now, this investigation, scientific studies, and research into this gain of function that we've spoken about before on the COVID roundtables, it really is transcontinental, but I think going back to the question of cui bono is a really good way to ground yourself in the question of following these events as they happen. The who, as we know during this pandemic, has gone back and forth many times on several fundamental subjects such as mask wearing, hand sanitizer, and the like. I've said before that if you trust the WHO, I don't trust you. I think I still stand by that to this day. In fact, I know I do. The WHO sent only 2 investigators in July of 2020, this year, just a few months ago, and they didn't even visit the city of Wuhan to investigate the nature of this pandemic. China had hundreds of thousands of health professionals investigate the origins, including Li Jian, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman. Now, there is a person whose name I can't say on the air. People who have been following George Webb recently, or for longer, perhaps the past 4 years or so, will probably know the name that I can't really say, but it starts with a B. I'll say that. Is Dutch cyclist, diplomatic courier for the NATO Supreme Commander. And he asked the question of why was a Dutch cyclist on the U.S. military team. And the speculation or thought put forth is that this virus came by way of this particular person, again, whose name I can't say. DTRA, Defense Threat Reduction Agency. So one of those terms, DTRA, Defense Threat Reduction Agency. And the genesis, or kind of the reason behind why George wrote this particular book, was actually due to a video that went viral on his channel. And as some of you may already know, George Webb's YouTube channel got banned, terminated a few months ago. Over 105,000 subscribers, 4,000 videos lost. No forewarning that this was going to happen. And the last video that kind of went viral for George before his account was terminated went to 570,000 views in just a few hours, explaining the nature of what we're talking about today. Dr. Zhu of the Wuhan lab claimed the virus was made bat-borne, humanly transmissional at the National University of Singapore. The NATO security chief. Now again, same last name. This is the same last name I can't say. Different person. Security chief of operations in Libya, Syria, and the Ukraine. Talks about, again, same family, same last name, but this is a woman, starts with the letter V. The person we just talked about, the NATO security chief, starts with the letter G. Same last name. I can't say it. Remember, people, I can't say the last name. Starts with a V, right? As in Virginia, like the state. Can you spell it? Common spelling. And how she, let's see if I wrote that. She was basically the one who wrote pardon me, I don't remember the agency, but the response, the general response to this pandemic. What should it be? Donnie O'Sullivan, Jim Sciutto, Poppy Harlow, Brian Seltzer, all over at CNN, of course, responded to this video by kind of just bad-mouthing and muckraking George a bit. So, of course, Donnie O'Sullivan, according to George, has a history of that already. And those other guys, they don't have a problem with that either. But let's talk about the military games here. 110 countries, 10,000 athletes, 45,000 person capacity stadium that was built for future Olympic events, 250,000 volunteers and medical staff, 650,000 tickets sold, and nearly, looks like 6 million people exposed. So millions of people exposed, and really the perfect place to do some sort of an infection. You have one centralizing big city with a high population that will then spread out and diffuse over many countries, of course, which is the nature of a multinational event such as the World Military Games. The cities with the highest concentration of all COVID cases were all headquarter cities for NATO. So that's another I think a key fact that cannot be ignored, certainly something to take into consideration, to say the least. So short book, but a lot of bang for your buck here. Now, will this be made available again in the future? Who knows? You're going to have to ask the author himself. I don't know. That's why I'm bringing it to you guys. This is a book review summary that I wanted to do over this short book. Banned book review, digital burning of the vanities that's been going on over the past few years. And it's only gotten worse with this pandemic and the lockdowns and the authoritarianism that has descended upon so many countries as well. So, you reading the chat? Yes, sir. Let's check these booklets. Yeah, it's basically like a booklet, very small book, but a book nonetheless. It does have an ISBN. Let's see if people can see that. Now, if you look it up, you probably won't find anything. So I'm sure I'm going to fix that at some point. But if people want to check out some of the recent work I've done, go to Neighborhood News Hour on YouTube. There you will also find this author, George Webb, as he has been broadcasting there exclusively over the past few weeks or so. So recently, if that's where you want to find George Webb, and for previous conversations that I've done with George, go to, usually I link them in the description. There are a couple that are still on YouTube, but most of them have been removed, censored. So go to my brand new tube, BNT. It's a new video website out of the United Kingdom that is censorship free, pro First Amendment, and pro free speech, pro civil liberties in the sense of expression. So they're not going to ban you for talking about certain things in the realm of geopolitics. Consequently, all my George Webb chats are available there. No relation to Whitney Webb, Boda. This has been my review of YouTube's Finest Hour by George Webb. Stay frosty, and we'll see you all next time.